Watching news at Prime, let's get into this now. President Cyril Ramaphosa is calling for those peddling false narratives about South Africa to be challenged and defeated. He made the remarks during Reconciliation Day celebrations in KwaZulu-Natal today. It comes as US President Donald Trump and his administration accuses South Africa of poorly treating farmers and allowing a genocide against Afrikaners without providing any proof.
There are those inside and outside our country who are trying their utmost to paint a false picture of us as the people of South Africa. They do not tell us what the surveys say, that the majority of South Africans are feeling hopeful about the state of our democracy. They do not tell us that the majority of South Africans believe that race relations in our country have improved since 1994. Some say there is a genocide that is underway in our country. Those people who are spreading lies about our country do not want to talk about the friendships, the neighborliness, and the kindness that is shown by black and white people in our country towards each other. They don't want to play all the social media clips we are seeing of young Afrikaners in veldskoens dancing to amapiano and white teenagers speaking fluent isiZulu with their friends.
Well, let's stay with the Day of Reconciliation. Joining us now is the ANC's first Deputy Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane. The party today also marking the 64th anniversary of its military wing, Umkhonto weSizwe. Good evening to you, Ms. Mokonyane, and thank you very much for your time. Let me go back. Let me start with the National Day of Reconciliation that is being observed today. One of the people who attended that gathering, and I'm saying it because the president kept making reference to this attendance of the Federation of Afrikaans Cultural Association chairperson, Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa, who also seems to have spoken at that gathering saying that Afrikaners are hopeful of a better future in this country. The president saying this is probably one of the best National Day of Reconciliation, partly because it was attended by this national group, the Afrikaans National Group. What is the messaging you think the president is trying to drive home here?
Good evening, Koli, and good evening to the viewers at home, and happy Reconciliation Day. The final message that the president is trying to convey is that we took up arms against a system that disenfranchised the majority of South Africans. And out of this new democracy, the first of its kind in our country, under the leadership of the African National Congress from its founding days, we said, Mzulu, Msuthu, Xhosa, Hlanganani, we're fighting for a non-racial, non-sexist, united and prosperous South Africa. That journey is a journey that requires men and women to be united and fight against any form of a minority that seeks to undermine a hard-won struggle that today we watched when the Atie Kafie was at Ngome, and also being there to appreciate also the wars of resistance on a day that, under the leadership of the ANC, when all else deputations and everything had failed, leaders of the ANC, young people under the banner of the African National Congress, men and women, took up arms for a better South Africa. What was conveyed today is that our journey towards the total emancipation of our people will never be complete as long as we all do not want to identify as one. But what is good is that it is still a minority within the white Afrikaner. Here is a genuine Afrikaner institution that is known over years. Joining us on this particular day, on the historic day of the founding of Umkhonto weSizwe, on the historic day of Tingan's Day then, on the historic day that all of us must say this post-1991 on the 1st of August, when we suspended the armed struggle, it was for the good of this country. But the journey for reconciliation is a protracted one.
Yeah. You probably are better placed to respond to the next question because you head up the ANC's International Relations Subcommittee. And that is that, is the effort perhaps better to be done here in South Africa to drive this message of unity among the national groups that exist in South Africa, as opposed to trying to convince the current American administration that there is no genocide taking place in South Africa? Do you think that that perhaps is a lost cause, that America possibly has its own agenda that it is not going to give up on because they continue peddling this without providing any proof?
Only what has happened today with the occasion where the president was with the Afrikaner Federation is actually a confirmation that only a united South Africa can be able to confront a minority in the world under the leadership of the Trump administration, not even the Americans. The Trump administration led by a very racist, reactionary man who believes on disinformation, who lost an opportunity by not coming to the G20 because he could have actually seen the true South Africa. That struggle for a united South Africa requires unity. You know, in Afrikaans, they say, unity is strength. So what happened today, even though at the level of the ANC we didn't have a national event, but we all rallied behind the banner of South Africa united in our diversity, to listen and watch to that message that was demonstrated today, and to then say no level of disinformation can actually undermine the voice of the majority, because Afrikaners themselves are not homogeneous, that when you have the remnants of right-wing and backward tendency, you then wipe off Afrikaners. Afrikaners belong nowhere but in South Africa, just like all of us.
But the Afrikaners are not the only ones, Ms. Mokonyane, that appear to paint South Africa in a bad light, particularly with countries that South Africa appears to not see eye to eye with, at least for the moment. I'm pointing a finger here to King Buelekaya Dalindyebo of Abatembu. You laugh about this, but he genuinely has caused consternation for the Abatembu clan. Do you think that what he did also deserves condemnation, or is he going to be treated with kid gloves because he is a cousin of the late statesman of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, and he belongs in that same Tembu clan, and therefore perhaps he is going to be mollycoddled? What should the approach be towards him?
Only this thing of being principled and standing for humanity doesn't go through who you are born with or you are related to. You're raising the issue of Buelekai, who has actually traversed all political parties in this country. Again, expressing the freedom of association, a hard-won right of the people of South Africa. but he can't even claim to represent that very kingdom of Abatem. It's the same as Mandela's grandchildren, whose mother is an ambassador of this country, who went to the apartheid Israeli state when Mandla Mandela was with those who wanted to go into the occupied territories of the people of Palestine. This again shows diversity, but this diversity must never lay claim of being the authentic voice. They don't represent the majority of South Africans. It is the majority of South Africans who embraced this constitution, who embraced the Freedom Charter through what is now the preamble of our constitution, that South Africa belongs to all those who live in it, but also that we're fighting for a united, non-racial, non-sexist, and equal society. So Buyele Kaya and Mandela's granddaughters who went there are actually similar to those Afrikaners, and all of them combined, they represent a tiny minority against the majority of South Africans who refuse to associate with any form of crime against humanity. And in this instance, at an international level, we have even gained friends and those who have joined the ANC and the South African government to say any crime against humanity, any crime against women and children, any crime that seeks to just exploit our minerals with the exploitation and the killing of our people is a crime against humanity. Our pillar of solidarity, our pillar of economic diversity, our pillar of people-to-people relations requires not only those who have gone out to defend crimes against humanity for cheap politics. I'm surprised why you're not mentioning Zuma, who has taught many of us in the ANC against the tyranny of Morocco against the people of Western Sahara, who today takes a particular position. But we will remain consistent. And what is good in terms of ending this year and celebrating this period, we have seen those that come from the DA embracing our foreign policy, being in China and appreciating why we support a one China policy, agreeing with us that crimes against humanity are crimes that the ANC and the South African government must never identify with. That King Buyele Kaya may be the king of Abatembu, but he does not actually represent Bonke Abatembu. What we must do, we must be intolerant of those people, and our laws of this country, including those who leave South Africa to go and be part of the Israeli Defense Force, their laws of this country must actually act up against them.
You've already mentioned former President Jacob Zuma. I was going to mention him in the context of the Umkhonto weSizwe, the military wing of the African National Congress. That's the heritage that he has appropriated. But I want to quickly come back, because now you've mentioned something that I have read about, but I haven't actually heard government officials coming out strongly about this, particularly its existence. You are saying that there are South Africans who identify with Israel's war on Gaza, and they have decided to go and join the IDF. This is the Israeli Defense Force. We have read about this, at least as media people, but I'm not so sure South Africans are aware just how many are these people that are South Africans but are fighting together with the IDF right now, perpetuating what is now seen as a genocide against the people of Gaza. How many people are we talking about here?
We wouldn't know the numbers and the names, but we know that there's a number of South Africans as the ANC. And our own management of movement of our people in and out of South Africa has to actually help us. Some leave this country as tourists, some leave this country because they've got families and stuff. But once people are known, this is what we must do, including those that have gone to Russia and are trapped there. It is those crimes that the National General Council of the ANC has said. We've got laws in place, let the laws bite, irrespective of who that person is, and let people choose either to be Israeli people or to be South Africans. And we're not saying either to be Jews or Africans, either to belong to Israel, because this thing of dual citizenship cannot be a citizenship against humanity. It must be a citizenship for social justice, for peace, and a better world.
Finally, Umkhonto weSizwe, marking the 64th anniversary today. How should South Africans remember Umkhonto weSizwe? Because I imagine there probably is a lot of confusion right now, at least for those who don't follow and consume politics on a daily basis. They will think that Umkhonto weSizwe has arrived with former President Jacob Zuma as per his party's name and logo.
Oli, it was in 1993 when all of us were called after the 1st of August, 1991, when the armed struggle was suspended. We went to Orlando Stadium in 1993, convened by the leadership of the African National Congress, by the commanders and the chief of staff of Umkhonto weSizwe, Chris Hani, as well as Joe Modise. We all assembled there, both the internal mission and the external mission. All of us agreed that we must swell the ranks of the ANC. We must go and build self-defense units. We must go and conscientize the ANC. We must go and serve, because when you take an oath of Umkhonto weSizwe, you don't take an oath of loyalty and allegiance to Umkhonto weSizwe or the ANC. You take an oath of allegiance to the people of South Africa. Here we are now. No one, even in 1961, Umkhonto weSizwe was not founded by people who were disgruntled by the ANC and walked away. It was people who realized that deputations, negotiations have failed. The enemy is arrogant. The best that we must do is to take up arms. And these are the people who militarized, who galvanized and made the people of South Africa to be the forest, and made some of us at our teen ages to become operators of Umkhonto weSizwe under the leadership of our commissars here, to really ensure that our communities become the forest. So what has happened? South Africans must know, Umkhonto weSizwe was never formed as a breakaway of the ANC. Umkhonto weSizwe was a military wing of the ANC. Those who are militant must now form the street committees, form the safe, the community patrollers, fight against gender-based violence. In the ANC, use political education to conscientize our people and understand the risk and the price that come with being in the ANC, that yourself, if it so happens that you are an obstacle to the ANC, you don't walk away from the ANC, you move away from your responsibility, but remain committed to the ANC so that the ANC can prosper. That is what we must understand. Those who walk away from the ANC can't identify with Umkhonto weSizwe, and that's why we are in court today.
ANC First Deputy Secretary General Nomvula Mokonyane, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Nyabonga Xoli.